Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sports Now, the show where we go over and debate the biggest stories in sports. I'm Josh Heller, as always joined by my co-host, Logan Ripley. Logan, how's it going today?
It's a little bit of a rush day. We're going to try to get through the NBA, the NFL, MLB, and hockey today. We don't really have any miscellaneous, and we're not doing trivia now, but we're still going to give you the best insight we can on these top and breaking stories.
Yeah, why don't you kick us off? Tell me what's going on with the NBA.
Well, the Warriors have tied the 95-96 Bulls record of 72 wins, and they're looking to break it as they play the Grizzlies tomorrow night, which will be Wednesday night at 10:35 Eastern, I believe. So the Warriors are looking to hold the record for most wins ever, and if anyone can say that this is going to be the best team of all time, some say that the Bulls, even though because they played in a harder era, they're better. But
yeah, I tuned in to some ESPN panel, and they had like 4 analysts, and they all said Bulls, 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 Bulls.
Right.
I think I agree with them, but I don't know. It wouldn't be a blowout, that's for sure.
My opinion is if you played in the Bulls era, the Bulls would win. If you played in the Warriors era, the Warriors would win.
And you've said that before, and I totally agree with you. Yeah.
So I think that's what it has to, because the league's totally different. I think Jordan would go to the line now, and that would, he'd have like a Paul Pierce game where he'd score 20 points from the line. Yeah. But that's just something to watch, and I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Warriors are going to beat the record. They have a lot of support. The Grizzlies have not been that good this year.
Is the game in Golden State? Or is it in Memphis?
I think it's home Golden State.
Okay, that'd be good then if they broke it at home.
Right.
That'd be nice. So let me get your analysis. How do you think the game's going to go down? Like, what do the Grizzlies need to do to win, and what do the Warriors need to win?
Well, I think the Grizzlies need to stop Steph Curry first and foremost. Klay Thompson is a very good player, but he's not going to carry your team, as you've seen when Curry's been out a little bit this season. Not more than last season, but not that much. They need to stop Steph Curry. I don't think they're going to. Mike Conley cannot do that. They're more of a defensive team, Memphis, more than in the past where they've been a finesse, offensive team.
Right.
Zach Randolph is, showing his age. Gasol's still playing at top of his level, but he's hurt, I believe.
He might be. I'm not sure, actually. He had a foot injury.
Right.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked
before.
about that. So he's not going to be playing. Other than that, they really don't have anyone. They got rid of, Jeff Green. To
I
the
thought
Clippers.
That was a not good move at all.
Another Green that plays for them is, playing well. So I just don't think they have the firepower to beat the Warriors, especially in this big of a game, and a game that is going to break history, and I think the Warriors are going to come through and beat them.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think we might see maybe a better game. I don't know if Steph Curry is going to be the leading scorer on the team. I feel like I think it depends. Tony Allen's still on the team, right?
On the Grizzly?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it depends who Allen guards. And if it is Klay, then fine, I'll give Steph the points. But like you were saying, Zebo's getting up there in age. I think Draymond Green might have a good game.
Right, yeah.
So
I agree with that. I think there's 3 different people that can do it for them.
Yeah.
You could see Bogut have a good game too.
Even Barnes.
He's been known to score, and Barnes is a very good player too. So they can beat in so many different ways, and I think it could be one of those where they're up so much in the third quarter, they rest Curry for the whole fourth, and they still win the game. So we'll move over to the eastern part of the NBA, away from the West. The East is pretty much set.
It is completely set.
But it can still shuffle. That's how close these teams are. The Pistons and Pacers are 2 teams to watch. Pistons are currently in the 8th spot, where the Pacers are in the 7th spot, and that could flip-flop.
And they both clinch, but it's a term in terms of seeding. Yep.
The Heat could be the 3 seed in the East.
Who's the 3 seed right now?
I believe they are the 3 seed. Atlanta's the 3 seed right now.
And then Boston, then Miami, or Miami,
then Boston.
Wow, okay.
So the Heat could move up to the 3 seed, which would make Atlanta play Boston, or the Celtics could win and have the Heat lose, and they can move up to the 4 seed, they'd still play I think they're going to play Miami either way.
Okay.
And Atlanta, could play the Boston Celtics or someone like Charlotte. I think they'd play Charlotte.
I would much rather play Charlotte.
Yeah,
I do not want to run into the Boston
Miami's
Celtics.
would be a very good 3 or 4 seed. They've been hitting their stride.
Mm-hmm.
For the Pistons, they just barely squeaked into the playoffs.
Well, they're led by Paul George. I mean, the way he carries that team.
Yeah.
I mean,
so both of those teams are very.
I like Detroit more than the Pacers. I don't know about you.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it. I never really liked Stan Van Gundy's the coach.
Yes.
I never really liked him as a coach, but I think just the
Frank
way
Vogel's the coach of the Pacers.
Yeah, I mean I'm fine with him, but Andre Drummond is just such an animal.
Yeah.
That he's the deciding factor. I don't think he's as good as Paul George, but I think he has a bigger, or I think he has such a huge impact, especially on the boards. He's one of those guys that gets 20 games all the time.
Right. I'd say if you go down the line. For a better team, I mean, the Pistons have some good players. The Pacers also have some good players. I think the Pacers could do better in the playoffs than the Pistons.
Who's the Pistons' point guard? Is it Knight or Jennings? I always get them mixed up.
Jennings got traded, and I believe their point guard is Reggie Jackson.
Oh, Reggie Jackson. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, the whoever's the 8 seed's going to lose to the Cavs. They're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
The 7 seed could beat the 2 seed. The Raptors, but I don't think that's going to happen. 3 seed could be Atlanta. So we're just looking at the 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of area of this.
Right.
Because the 7, 8 is kind of set. The 1, 2, 3 is, 2 is set. But, it's kind of tight. If you move over back to the West, the Rockets and Jazz the Jazz controlled their own fate the other night, but they lost.
Mm-hmm. And now they're all tied up.
So now the Rockets and Jazz are tied up. I think
each with 1 game left.
Right, 1 game left.
And the Rockets are playing the Kings, and the Jazz are playing on Mamba Day. They're playing the Lakers.
They're playing the Lakers.
Yeah.
So Kobe could spoil some dreams for a couple players. Gordon Hayward, I think, is a great player, and I think the Jazz deserve to get in over the Rockets.
Oh, 100%.
They're still going to have to play really hard to beat the Lakers, even though they've had such a down year. This is going to be a very emotional game for Kobe, and we saw the other night he put up 35 versus the Rockets.
Do you think he's going to take over that game, Kobe?
I think he's just going to start pulling from everywhere on the court, and he'll have about 40 shots.
All right, now let me ask you this, because I've heard this being argued. Do you think he's going to cry? I say yes.
No.
I say yes. Not hard, but I think you might see a couple tears. I don't know.
I don't think he's going to cry. I think he's just going to thank him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like Kobe, but I'm definitely watching the game.
Yeah, I'll probably watch too, rooting for the Jazz.
Yeah.
Rooting for Kobe to have like 40 and for the Jazz to win.
Yep.
So like I said before, if the Jazz get in, they'll be the 8th seed. I don't think the Rockets deserve to get in after what they've done.
Right.
Firing their coach, that was just really good, Kevin McHale.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz played really, really good team basketball this year. Gordon Hayward's a really good player out of Butler.
Yep.
And they could, challenge the Warriors that could be dragging a little bit in the first round. I don't think they're going to beat them. They could beat them. They'd be the best team to beat them in that 8th spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll be a good series. Hopefully the Jazz get in. We'll move over to the MVP race, and I'll give you MVP race in NBA, and I'll give you a few players to look at, and I want to hear your opinion about which one is best.
All right, go ahead.
So Steph Curry, the Warriors, the best regular season we've seen since 95, 96. He broke his 3-point record halfway through the year.
Mm-hmm.
He's been one of the most dynamic scorers ever to play the game. Over to another guy that plays great defense, and his offensive abilities are coming, and he's leading an old veteran team of the Spurs. Kawhi Leonard is playing really great basketball. He's emerging as one of the big 5 stars. LeBron James is carrying this Cavs team. When he's not in the lineup, the Cavs have struggled. He's the point guard. He's the small forward. Sometimes he's the center. He's playing big. He's playing small.
Yep.
And he's playing everyone. He's playing great D, and in the last 3 games, he's made the highest percentage shots he's made in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, they had a down year last year. He was hurt, and he's come back and he's shown they can carry this team. Russell Westbrook is obviously having a great year. tying Magic Johnson in triple doubles for the most all time in one season. But Durant again showing that he's still one of the best in the game, even after the injury. Chris Paul, the Clippers, without Blake Griffin for almost the last quarter of the year, point guard, facilitator, scorer, doing it all for his team.
Mm-hmm.
So from those 5 guys, who do you have?
I'm going to give the MVP to Curry, just because, like you said, he broke his own record pretty much halfway through the season. He's just such a force out there in Golden State. And, yeah, they have a really good supporting cast in Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Bo Barnes. We talked about this. But just the, all the eyes when you see number 30 on the court, you look right to him, because he can change a game just one shot. And that's why – and he's the most valuable player to that team. Like, if they – let's say they lost Green for, the playoffs, I think they could survive. They wouldn't be as heavy of favorites as they are, but they could survive. I think if they lost Curry, I don't think they would still contend, but I don't think they could win it. And also, I just want to say, I think you have the wrong Thunder on that list. I would put Westbrook way ahead of Durant. I would probably put Westbrook in my top 3 of voting, because just the rate that he gets triple doubles is just insane to me.
All right. Yeah, I agree with your Curry logic. I think a lot of people do, and he will be the unanimous MVP this year, just like last year.
Yep.
Well, he wasn't unanimous last year. It was a very close-knit race between Westbrook, who you said, and James Harden. Durant was, according to ESPN, was pretty high on this list because of his scoring. I agree with you on that Westbrook, has been the number 1 guy, and Durant's been taking a backseat to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Durant has been the one carrying him down the stretch because of Westbrook's, not big ability to make shots. Back to Curry, the game where he really broke out and showed he was the best and could change a game was versus Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, the double overtime.
Where it was just the best game of the year.
Yeah.
His biggest struggle was versus the Spurs the first time they played them, where they lost and they totally shut him down, but came back and they beat them twice to end the year. So
yeah.
Steph,
and I mean that goes along with my point. You shut down Steph Curry, you have a really good chance at winning that game.
Right, which they did.
Yeah.
And he showed how good he was, and that he doesn't just score. He does a lot of other things as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where he had like 37, 5 and 5, and a couple steals the other night. Versus the Spurs, showing, his all of his tools that he has. LeBron James, I think he just doesn't get as much credit as he usually has in the past because of Curry. They're not the unanimous number 1 team in the league, where the Heat were before. For Leonard, I think he could be the MVP of the league one year. And
definitely.
He's carrying that Spurs team. Tony Parker's older, but he's still playing well. Tim Duncan has been playing all right. He's older. He's breaking a lot of records this year on all-time scoring and rebounds. I think Leonard doesn't get a lot of credit. And Chris Paul, they're still a really good team in the West, and they're not really, they're being overshadowed by the Lakers, who only won 16 games this year because of Kobe's last year in the NBA. So
yeah,
you can make a case for all of them, but Curry is going to win this, like we both said.
Yeah, let's go to the Rookie of the Year race. The 3 biggest names, we have Karl Anthony Towns of the Timberwolves, of course, Kristaps Porzingis of the Nets, and then there's one name on here that, I'll be honest with you, didn't really stand out to me. Who would that be?
Jokic. He's a bigger guy. He's a power forward, but he has been playing some good basketball. Nikola Jokic. He plays for the Denver Nuggets. A team that has not been very good this year. Emmanuel Mudiay was a rookie this year also, but he hasn't really been playing that well. Starting off, I guess I'll go Jokic and back up for our cases. Jokic is averaging 9.8 points per game, 6.9 rebounds, and 2.3 assists. In a class where, rookies aren't really making a big deal like they did last year, I think, that's pretty good. And he could be a top 50 player or less someday, but, he's still young. He's a foreign player like Porzingis. and I think that he's still coming into his body in that manner.
Kristaps? You're saying?
What?
You're saying Kristaps needs to come into his body, or Jokic?
Jokic. And Kristaps.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say.
They're both foreign-born players coming into, the NBA, what's the biggest athletes in the world. Yeah. And, as time goes on, they're going to be good players, but rookie year, you don't expect much, really. Yeah. And you've seen, like, Dirk Nowitzki came over, and you would never expect him to be a Hall of Famer after his first year, because he averaged, like, nothing, but came into his body, does what he does well, and he plays to that strength, and you could see these two guys doing that. So over to Kristaps, I guess we'll talk about him, and I'll ask the Knicks fan the question. He was one of the biggest deals the first month of basketball. Where has he gone?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. After the All-Star break, I found the Knicks unwatchable. I just couldn't sit down and watch. All I really did see were the highlight paths, and most of that, I mean, we saw Kristaps trying to cool off after the All-Star break. Well, cool off, in a relative sense because he was doing so well in the first half. But I still think he played fine the second half. He had some injury issues towards the end of the season. I think it was his shoulder maybe.
Yeah.
But I think he's a really good player, but I don't think he's nearly at the level that Karl-Anthony Towns was at this year.
Yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns out of Kentucky. NBA scouts first saw him playing for, I believe, the Dominican team in USA basketball as an 18-year-old, like 17, 18-year-old, and just handling NBA players. Like, just backing him down, hook shot, jumper, blocks, defense so well, steals, assists because he can handle the ball a little bit. He's hitting threes. He won the skills competition this year.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, over Isaiah Thomas by hitting a three, and he's shown his ability is like unmatched for rookies this year. So that means I think that the Timberwolves will have back-to-back Rookie of the Years with Andrew Wiggins and then Karl-Anthony Towns, because Towns is just, I'm pretty sure he's averaging around 18 and like 10.
It's up there, yeah.
And Porzingis is having a good year, and after the first, like you said, first half of the year, you'd say Porzingis is probably going to be Rookie of the Year. But
he was
Towns kept it.
Towns did it quietly.
Yeah,
that's
quietly, and he kept it consistent throughout.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's going to give him the win.
Yeah, easily, I think. All right, let's move a little quicker here. Defensive Player of the Year. The biggest contenders being Draymond Green, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul Millsap.
Yeah, Draymond Green, Leonard, Millsap. I wouldn't give it to Millsap.
I wouldn't.
Atlanta's a very, very good defensive team, but I don't think I'd give it to Millsap, even though he has been their all-in-all player for them, carrying them. Horford, kind of non-existent. Teague also.
Yeah.
For Leonard's case, I think I'd give it to Leonard. Leonard is one of the best shutdown defenders and perimeter defenders that we've seen in a while, probably back to Scottie Pippen, but I think he's going to have more of an offensive impact. For defense, though, Green, he guards bigger guys, I guess, so that's why he would get a nod for this. Very good defender, but, I think he's just getting hyped because of the Warriors team. So
yeah, everything you just said echoes for me.
Yeah, Leonard, I think
Leonard's in a lead of his own in terms of defense.
You got to get to the claw. We'll go over to Coach of the Year.
Yeah, Steve
Kerr, Greg Popovich, and Terry Stotts. Quickly, who do you have?
I'm gonna go Popovich on this one.
Okay.
I feel not obligated, but I feel pressured to go with Kerr. But I look at what the Warriors did in his absence when he was recovering from his hip surgery. That I feel like it's that team is at the point where, not that it doesn't matter what coach you have, but the team is just so good that they can overcome any, a coaching flaw.
Now, do you think the NBA would ever do something like the NFL and say Bruce Arians with his interim job, they didn't win it all with the Colts, but he came in to a tough situation and they were really good. Could you say that it's kind of a Steve Kerr / Luke Walton win? Would you pick them if they gave it in that case?
If it was a / like that, then yes, I would give it to the Warriors head coach.
I agree the same, because if they did that, I would pick them.
Yeah.
And I feel like they shouldn't just have it for one coach. I think they should have.
Because how many games did Walton coach? It had to be at least.
They were 22-0 at one point, 23. So he had to
almost
coach
25,
almost 27,
almost quarter of the season.
27. Yeah. So I think they should change this award to coaching staff of the year instead of head coach, because really you're looking at the whole thing. But then you can make a case for Greg Popovich and the new lady that was there. The lady
Becky Harmon,
who had such a great, summer league job, and I think you should add everything into it. Yep. Coaching young players is like the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
And both teams have shown great, enthusiasm to do it.
So you give it to Pop if they don't do the slash?
I think it's a tough thing. I think it's very tough. I think I'm gonna give it to Kerr because of the history that they've done and the things he's battled through. I've read a really interesting story about his back and like surgeries and how he's always has migraines because his his back injury led to them. So I think I'd give it to Steve Kerr because of the history that they've had.
All right. Let's finish up NBA quick. I'm just gonna give you two categories. You give me your winner.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Sixth man of the year.
Will Barton.
Will Barton. That was a very quick answer.
Yep.
Just really quick.
Iguodala is amazing. Will Barton's had a really good year, and he's really coming into his own. And on a bad team, he's showing that he can lead the team off the bench. Denver Nuggets, by the way, bad team. Said it twice.
Thanks. I will agree with you on Barton. Most improved player.
C.J. McCollum.
Agree completely.
Kemba Walker's up there, but he's already been known. C.J. McCollum out of Lehigh, he was like a 10th overall pick. Stayed in the D League and showed that the D League actually helps you, jumping up from about 7 points per game to around 22 on Lillard's side, and that's just going to be one of the best backcourt duos that the Trailblazers will ever have.
Yeah.
MLB, Steven Matz, you want to say anything about that?
Boy, did he get rocked.
Yeah.
His first start of the season, it was on national TV on ESPN, game against the Marlins, and I believe he didn't even make it through 2 innings.
Yeah, I saw the update, Giancarlo Stanton just
demolished
hit a bomb off him, 2-run home.
I think it was, I can't remember exactly how many earned runs. It was probably at least like 6, right?
Yeah, it was definitely pretty high, and they pulled him quick.
Yeah.
Who knows what that was about?
I think it might be just one of those one-start things, but Greinke's 2 starts in, and how's that going? So.
Yeah, right. But he's kind of down. He's down in that rotation. Like, he's not, like, the 3 guy. It's because of the absence of DeGrom that he's even pitching right now, right?
No, it goes Harvey,
DeGrom,
Cologne.
Cologne's pitching
Syndergaard.
3? I thought it was Syndergaard, and then...
Oh, it might be Syndergaard, then Cologne.
Yeah.
But Matz is the 5.
Who was the other guy besides Syndergaard last year?
Wheeler until he got hurt.
Oh, yeah, but I thought there was someone else besides Syndergaard that had blonde hair.
That was DeGrom.
No, DeGrom has brown hair. I meant blonde.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I don't know. Another time, another place.
Yeah, I can look it up if you want to talk about the Tigers fan.
Yeah. So quickly, this Tigers fan sitting in the crowd. We've heard stories about people catching balls and beers and catching them, holding onto their babies. Everything last year. This guy caught 5 foul balls in one game.
Oh, John Neese was the other pitcher.
Right.
Not blonde.
That's not who I'm talking about.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
So, caught 5 balls. I'd love to catch one in my lifetime.
Right.
I've caught a hockey puck one time in an RPI game.
Nice.
Almost hit me. It's because they went so hard off the post.
Yeah, true.
But, yeah, so that's just an interesting MLB fact of the day on a light day in baseball.
Yeah. All right, let's go over to
Hockey Minute, and I'm going to start you in 3, 2, 1, ice.
All right. So just some quick news tidbits. The Senators fired their head coach and some of their coaching staff, the head coach being Dave Cameron. Ottawa missed out on the playoffs, as did all the Canadian teams. The Senators were led by Erik Karlsson, who had an historic season, but it wasn't enough as Ottawa just couldn't squeak in the playoffs. The Bruins' late collapse could lead to a restructure, such as a new coach. We'll have to wait and see. I think if Julien does get fired, I think we could see him in Montreal. Henrik Sedin of the Canucks played through the end of the season with a broken finger, so ow.
Yep.
Rangers defenseman and captain Ryan McDonough could miss the entire series. He did practice today the correct way with a left-hand stick with both hands on the stick, so that's a good sign for him. over in San Jose. Martin Jones will start Game 1 for the Sharks over James Reimer. For the Islanders, Yaroslav Halak is out for the series. Thomas Greiss will start. And then both St. Louis Blues forward David Backes and Lightning forward Tyler Johnson both practiced today, and they should be ready for Game 1. That was exactly a minute.
That was exactly a minute.
I'm so proud
of
myself.
I give you credit.
Thank you.
We all watched the Combine. We watched Pro Days, and it's coming down to an end. We have to pick some people sooner or later. Bleacher Report came out with draft projections, and their top 3, some may agree, some may not agree. The first pick, Tennessee Titans. Second pick, Cleveland Browns. And third pick, San Diego Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do agree with the first pick.
Which is who?
Tackle
Laramie
Tunsil.
Tunsil, okay. And
out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's something that Titans need. And I think they're putting all their eggs in one basket with Marcus Mariota, who came out and showed that he can play in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that 81-yard walk-off run was amazing. And he just took over the league for a little bit. And then right out of the gate, I'm pretty sure he threw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, he might have.
I mean, you're a fantasy guy. He took over fantasy, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And
because, of course.
The line.
Because we can't have nice things.
And the line. You know, the line needs to be shored up.
I don't even remember how he got hurt.
And I think it was like a knee injury.
It was MCL.
Or MCL.
It was MCL.
Larry Tunsil, I think, will shore up that line. They make a few moves. I think the Titans could be really good next year.
We'll have to wait and see.
Quarterback Carson Wentz out of San Diego State. What an arm. Big guy. Ben Roethlisberger size. He can throw it anywhere on the field, make any throw. He can also run the ball a little bit, something Big Ben, he's very evasive, but he's not quite the runner.
Right.
So I'd put him more
He's more a scrambler than a runner.
I'd put him in the category of Aaron Rodgers running.
Okay.
And, elusiveness of Ben Roethlisberger with the body and the arm.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Blake Bortles who really came out last year. So the Browns are going to take him, supposedly. They did get RG3 in free agency and signed him to a big deal. But I think they're going to take quarterbacks anyways because why not? You've seen over the past 20 years, they have not had one good quarterback that has done anything for them since their relocation back to Cleveland. So they really need to do something, and why not have all these quarterbacks to choose and pick from?
Yeah.
I think
in hopes that just one works
once
out.
they pick one, I think they should stick with him.
Yes.
I think it would hurt a rookie to be, you're in, you're out. Are you in? You're out.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. So
you showed up to practice drunk, you're out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a minute. And then third, a guy is skyrocketing down the board in draft, Jalen Ramsey. He may go to the Chargers with the third pick, could go as high as probably 6. But, Florida State's Jameis Winston, who was the teammate of Jalen Ramsey, said that this guy's the best player coming out in the draft. And
of course he's going to say that coming out of the same school.
He could play safety, he could play corner, and he said he's so good. He's like a Cam Chancellor type, and he would love to have him on his team. And he's begging his team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to get him. I don't know if they're going to move up to get him or not.
Yeah, well, it's a
I think he could be a game-changing player. And the guys that we've seen go this low in the draft for this position is like Patrick Peterson, and he's just a game-changer for his team. Your thoughts on those 3 out of Bleacher Report?
I agree with them, but I would also keep an eye on the kid who – I think he's from Ohio State, the Bosa.
Yeah, Joey Bosa.
I would keep an eye on him.
Defensive end.
Yeah, I think he could go top 5. I think he could squeak in there. We'll have to see. I think the fate of that relies on San Diego and what they decide to do.
Yep.
And just a heads up, the NFL draft starts April 28th this year.
Yeah, so it's coming.
It's coming.
Quickly.
Yep. Exactly.
So we'll probably have a draft segment a little bit. As we keep our shows going. But that's just a kind of a preview into our draft projections, and maybe we'll project our own top 10 and our favorite team picks.
Yeah. All right, Logan, what's going on with Johnny Manziel now?
Johnny Manziel, as we reported last show, which was yesterday,
yep.
Monday, Johnny Manziel was living with Von Miller, the Denver Broncos MVP this past year in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That was reported wrong. And Johnny Manziel posted funny Instagram pics of stepbrothers with his face and Von Miller saying, you're my brother, bro, but I'm not living with you. I'm sorry for all this, because it's just a Johnny Manziel football craze, Johnny Mania.
Yeah.
He's actually living with Josh Gordon.
Good
and you're
role
like,
model.
oh,
Good role
boy,
model.
I kind of wish he was living with Von Miller.
Guys, what happened with Josh Gordon today?
Josh Gordon failed yet another drug test, and
Yay.
he'll be tested, I think, in like another 6 months, and who knows what's going to happen there.
He was so good. Why do you have to ruin it?
He was so good. He needs to hope that he stays clean, or the NFL changes the rule, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I don't want to go any further than that. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, that's it, and I hope everyone likes our show for today.
Yeah, so Trivia Now is just going to be a weekly thing, but we had to take today off. It's very hard to find trivia questions. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I got to start coming up with them off the top of my head or something.
Yep. All right, well, thanks for tuning in today. Make sure to follow our show on Twitter at RSR Sports Now. You can follow my personal Twitter at at Josh_Heller20. Logan?
I'm at lowercase LOGAN_RIPLEY.
All right, you can find our archive shows on our YouTube page. You can search Sports Now on YouTube or find direct links on our social media. You can find us on Facebook, searching Sports Now on Facebook. Thank you for listening to Sports Now on Radio St. Rose. Be sure to tune in next time for all the latest news around the sports world.